Welcome back. Time now to look into the papers, and joining us this morning is the commissioning editor of the Conversation Africa, Mr. Wale Fatade. Good morning, Mr. Fatade. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Good morning, Bukola. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the conversation before I came on here. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Interesting. We're trying to mirror the Conversation Africa. I'm sure it's part of your talking points there as well. But let's begin with, right where we stopped, and I'm sure you'd like to weigh in on it. And this is also being reported by This Nigeria. Legal bombshell hits ADC. And it's interesting that they didn't mention the other political parties, Mr. Fatade. But there's one rider, court orders INEC to deregister party for others. Atiku kicks petitions NJC. So it would seem as if really this is being, it's the ADC that is being targeted, but the other parties just fall into the mix somehow, curiously. But we would like to know your thoughts.
Well, I think it's good enough that you are bringing a senior advocate to expatiate on that matter. But for me, as just a journalist who has reported politics in Nigeria, I think there are just 2 or 3 questions for me. 1 or 2 of them you have mentioned. The first one is that there is the order by the appeal court that Justice Lifu should stay proceedings on that matter until the other issues, the pending issues before the appeal court are determined. And I think that's a higher court. So basic court reporting teaches us that in Nigeria. So if an high court is now giving an order that is overriding the order of an appeal court, maybe the National Judicial Council might want to look into Justice Lifu's judgment. That's one for me. The second one, the parties that filed the suit, in law, there's that phrase called medusum interloper. Have they been able to show sufficiently that the actions of ADC and these other parties have injured them? Do they have a local standard to institute that case? Or are they now standing as amicus curiae or whatever? Are they expanding jurisprudence or what are they doing? That's the second thing for me. Then the third thing, INEC is headed by a professor of law and a senior advocate of Nigeria too. Now I'm aware part of their zonal commissioners or whatever they call them, those ones that are above the resident electoral commissioners, some are lawyers. I'm aware some of the resident electoral commissioners are lawyers. INEC has a fully funded legal department. Where were they all these days that if those parties indeed are fouling the Constitution or are fouling the Electoral Act, why has INEC not stopped them from whatever acts of illegality they have been committing? So I think this judgment is more political than legal. We are no lawyers, but it's sad. Even at this stage of our democracy, since 1999, any child born in 1999 to now, his life should have taken shape. He or she should be a father or mother if they are serious. So if this is what we'll be grappling with at this moment, I think it's so shameful. And if somebody asks me, as of today, this might change tomorrow. I'm not even sure ADC and what's the other one, NDC, can muster enough votes or enough strength to dislodge APC because of what is on the ground. And so why can't the government of the day, if indeed it has a hand in this, why can't they let APC be and let the other parties be too? It's sad, that's all.
Well, the argument continues. Let's see whether we can go to the Vanguard newspaper. I'm going to take on a lot of stories because of the time we have, so you can help us intervene. The Vanguard newspaper leads the registration verdict. Atiku, Mark, Adeleke, Fium vowed to be on ballot. The same thing that we just talked about, but this time you're hearing their comments now, their response. So I would like you to comment on their response. Why court ordered
I think they should keep up the pressure. They should keep up sustained pressure. And by the way, I'm an interested party. Osun is my home state, and I was in Osun last week. And I think the fact of the matter is that Governor Adeleke is incredibly popular among his citizens. By the way, the Accord party's banners across some places I visited were torn gladly, and you could see that these were acts of vandalization. But the reality is that the citizens know who they are going to vote for. The citizens know who they want. The citizens know who are performed better for them. So I think they should keep up the pressure. That's all. This battle is more political than legal.
I'm happy you put out that footnote that you're an interested party. So Let's go to the top of that nameplate.
Oh, yeah, that's in the interest of full disclosure, so that you will know that I'm bothered about it is the remittances of those of us who don't live and work in Osun State years back that sustain Osun. So we should be much more interested in what happens in Osun.
Let's go to that very top story. I tried to do a bit of the economic analytics of how inflation numbers and interest rates and FX interplay in determining the health of an economy and how the president prioritizes fiscal sustainability and revenue generation over cost of living. And he has his reasons for that. It's now for Nigerians to say whether they agree with him or not. But let's say headline inflation rate hits 15.93%, rising third consecutive month. You know, we made a lot of gains after the rebasing from about 20, I think 24, 25, I need to remember that, to about 15. And now we're losing the speed because of what is playing out in the Iran, US, and Israel war. Mr. Fatade?
Yes, please.
I would like you to speak to the issue of inflation numbers.
Well, you know, and you should know now, Jeffrey, the nice way I love to say this is that strip of all the economic indices, the one that Mr. Rewani and his fellow economists regularly expatiate on in your studio and other programs. The reality is that Nigerians are suffering. That's the reality. I mean, somebody was lamenting on Sunday how it took him 160,000 naira to move from Lagos to Oyo Ogbomoso in Oyo State. And I mean, that's serious, as in the petrol cost. And so we all know what you buy when you go to market. And people will be telling me that the stock market is making gains. Beautiful, and those things are good. But the reality is how many Nigerians are active players in the stock market beyond the pension fund or all those institutional investors? So does that percolate down? Fine, we have merged the foreign exchange window, but is the naira still trading higher? It's about 1,300 watching your scroll tape early this morning. It's about 1,390 something plus. So that was not where it was before this government came to power. So if all those economic gains are really, really there like that, the evidence that stares us at the face that citizens of this country show that things are not like that. 15,000, 20,000 when you hold it now, it can't take us anywhere. I mean, how much are they selling a wrap of amala? I think for me, and you know, we have this in economics reporting, they taught us, basket of inflation or basket of entities or whatever. How much is a loaf of bread? How much does it take to feed an average child? How much does a tin of milk cost? These are better indices for me. We have rebased. I mean, whether they can argue them, I mean, Mr. Oyedele will come out and say things are moving on the president. But the reality is that the bitter piece Nigerians are being forced to swallow is leaving a stomach upset for us. And we can all see that.
Yeah. Before I leave the paper, before it comes to you, so, Mr. Fatade, you know, I did say that they prioritize fiscal sustainability and revenue generation over the other element in the micro. So that's why two things are true at the same time. On one hand, you can see the FX reserve going up. You can see the capital importation. You can see the markets. I mean, the capital market now, the stock market.
The capital market.
Yes, the stock market has gained significantly in terms of significant percentage. But it's also true that poverty prevails. It's also true that cost of living is very high. So that is a clear decision the government has made. The gap is what has been the problem. How to fill that gap is what has been the problem, and that's why we're challenging when and how are you going to fill this gap. But let's talk about xenophobia, just where we understand the South African minister has talked about this. It's a page 27 read on the front page of the Vanguard. Artist shows are being cancelled across Africa. Mr. Fatade.
There'll be more of that. It's not a curse. There'll be more of that. And for people of my generation and those before me, who were part of the liberation movement as far as it were, because I remember attending the University of Ibadan with South Africans on scholarship of the Nigerian government. I remember that very well, very well. And until now, a lot of people never knew that Thabo Mbeki once had a Nigerian passport or once lived there. Our government actually issued passports to South Africans. under apartheid. Nigeria led a boycott, was it the 1968 Munich Olympics, because of apartheid. And so we are not asking you that you open your borders for us, or we are not asking you that all restrain migration. But what we are saying is that the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of solidarity, that all the rest Africans supported South Africa, where is it? And by the way, my parents' generation were actually the ones whose salaries were deducted to support NACAP, National Commission Against Apartheid. It was a commission in the presidency, just like you have NDC now or whatever, which was real. I mean, I'm sure people like Joe Garba, Professor Balaji Akinjemi, thank God he's here alive. People like Joe Garba will be turning in his grave, seeing what South Africa has become now. So the Mr. or Mrs. Minister or Madam Minister, you will see more of that. Ventilating or fulminating that Africans supported Mexico is just the beginning. A lot of folks are still rooting for South Korea, so that's the way it is. South Africa is sadly going to be isolated, and that will be worse for them.
You know, and the interesting thing is that, you know, when you listen to officials, they keep doubling down. I mean, South African government officials.
At certain level, it has the imprimatur of the state. The nation state is actively supporting these xenophobic attacks. That's the reality.
Yeah, and the irony of that, Mr. Fatade, is that government officials keep doubling down on that view that South Africans are not xenophobic, and you know it's at variance.
The evidence points to the
contrary. Absolutely. And so you know we wonder if that is symptomatic of their lack of what we say political will here to actually tackle that challenge of xenophobia.
It is an official state policy. It might not be enunciated like that in the books, but that's what it is.
But let's head to other stories. Perhaps we'll remain on the front page of the Vanguard this morning to look at other interesting stories. And I'm going to tie this with what, you know, we have been reporting in the last 48 hours. Go atop the nameplate of the Vanguard this morning. Right there in the middle, you see terrorism. Federal government resumes mass trial of 600 Boko Haram suspects. That would be cheery to note because, you know, was it 2 months ago, there were some outcomes from the court with the conviction of a number of terror suspects. But we also saw in the last 48 hours, the Borno state government, you know, concluding a program of reintegration for over 700 what we call repentant Boko Haram suspects. We also saw that happen some months back in another state, northern state. This time around, it was a federal government program of Operation Safe Corridor. Does it make you wonder, you know, from where you sit, about the number of people that we're up against in this fight against insurgency and banditry? 600 is quite a number. The last time it was over 700, and now we're prosecuting 600 suspects. Does it make you wonder what is the population size of these non-state actors in the first place? And is Nigeria, a Nigerian state institution, security agencies, positioned with, you know, the firepower to rival and rein in on this menace, this cancerous insurgency and banditry?
Well, you've asked, like the good reporter that you are, you've asked many questions together, roll into one. Let's see whether we can strip them one after the other. Number one, first for me, kudos to our soldiers, kudos to our intelligence officers. We have seen that there is absolute lack of political will. We have seen that. But for those of them who have lost their lives, I commiserate with their families. Those of them who have paid the supreme price, we just pray that the Lord God will comfort their families. That's one side. Number two, for us at the Conversation Africa, we have published research that shows that this theory or this practice of forgiveness or reintegration is not working. Number one, we are battling an ideological battle. And you cannot reorientate somebody who is an ideologue. It's like communism or socialism or what have you. I mean, so look at Cuba today. You can't change an ideology like that. That they've been orientated. You have taught them, you are recommissioning them, and you throw them back to the society. There have been instances, and journalists like you and I have reported this, that some of those who have been arrested were those who were once trained like that, who were once set free. You know, the concept of Uwa boy, that you can go and you are now free, you can start your own trade. It's not working. That's the reality. And I think, I'm not sure, the evidence tells us at the face that does our government, actually successive governments now, have they shown sufficient will to fight terrorism? Now, look at the confusion, which at a certain level was deliberate, that trailed that general that was killed. Now, we are believing that the state government, Katsina State, issued a statement that he died of natural causes. He died of complications of diabetes and hypertension. But we've seen the children and the family coming out to say, no, our father, our husband, never had diabetes, never was hypertensive. So what happened? And there's still something that we don't know yet. Perhaps this is for those of us who are journalists to find out. How was his body released to the Katsina State government? Now, the woman that we saw yesterday, thank God for that. Was she rescued or was she released too? Remember before, the stuff that was issued was actually that the wife too was released until we saw those photos again yesterday. So where are we? And then if the government cannot level up with citizens, you are telling us you have many things to hide than you are willing to reveal. Fine, we grant it that security issues might not be something that must be open, but there is basic level of decency, there's basic level of transparency, basic level of honesty. Part of the things successive governments battle in Nigeria is distrust of the people in government. And citizens that have been serially beaten, serially oppressed, serially deceived, serially cheated, they find it difficult to trust government. And those are the things that we see. I'm happy with for the woman that has been released. Now it's imagined that she was shot. And I wish her quick recovery. Perhaps the condolences to her for becoming a widow that was never planned.
And you see right there on the front page, the picture of, front page of the Vanguard now, the picture of the widow rescued and hospitalized. She sustained gunshot injuries, according to reports. And at the bottom of the picture, you see there, kidnapped Kwara monarch dies in captivity after 18 million naira ransom payment. I hope that is correct. 18 or 1.8 million naira ransom payment. And you see also that's 18. And you see, Mr. Fatade, either it's in the southeast or in the southwest, it appears as if traditional rulers are now being targeted. They're being murdered or being kidnapped. Now,
especially in that Kwara axis. And part of Ekiti State too, yeah.
Now, can communities at this deepest level be accessed without some form of compromise, without informants, leaking information to these non-state actors? And how can this be tackled?
For most of us, sadly, we are sitting ducks or lame ducks waiting to be captured or waiting to be kidnapped. That's the reality. If you have followed the sad one that happened in your state very well, did you see how remote that area is? Did you see where some places they don't have even transmission bars that could help whenever there is an attack or there's possibility that could help in quick announcement or quick alert that this is about to happen in our area? Please come to our rescue. And we could see successive years of government neglect of those areas. Now the chickens have come home to roost. Those are the serious issues. Of course, we have seen again too, that must be put out, of the complicity of the citizens, of the locals in some of these areas. Perhaps possible, but the reality again is we have seen how far even the nearest police posts or police stations have formed this area. So the head or tail, Nigerians are the loser.
There must be something more behind the headlines of these stories to find out why traditional rulers are being targeted. But that's the much we can report this morning. And we must also thank you very much, Mr. Wale Fatade, for coming on the program. Mr.
A pleasure.
We have one more to go, I'm told. Jeffrey, you want to take that one?
No,
okay.
I think we're totally out of time.
All right.
Mr. Wale Fatade, always a delight to have you on the program. Always.
Thank you, Jeffrey. A pleasure to you. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back after this break, we'll speak with the senior advocate of Nigeria. This issue around the deregistration order by the court, let's break it down for you. Stay with us.